The air hangs heavy in the forest just outside of the settlement now known as Saray's Bounty. Several weeks have passed since the landing of the new colonists, and despite a rough start with several multiple attacks by strange creatures, life has seemed to have settled down a little bit. Construction has begun anew. The walls have been fortified and expanded. Several more houses have been built, both inside and out of the wooden palisades. Life is good so far. We find ourselves now in a forest as Laura, Haru, and Galvin and Beacon find themselves helping some of the huntsmen trying to acquire meat. Several herd of deer have been spotted around the island, as well as some wild boar, such as the beast that you're tracking now. And for sizable boar, going deeper and deeper into the forest towards the center of the mountain. This is where we'll pick up. All of you are armed with short bows to help take down this thing, as well as simple wooden spears to finish the job. We'll come down to Galvin as you make your way around a tree. Describe to us what you see.
As I come around a tree, I missed the first part.
You come around a tree, we're tracking.
Yeah, you're tracking a boar. You have tracks along the forest floor, and you've been tracking it for several hours. So we're coming down on you. Haru and Laura are a couple dozen yards to your north. Describe what you see as you hear shuffling in some undergrowth. Okay, so we'll move right along to Beacon.
Sorry about that. You're trying to stop the... All right, Sam, you describe what you see.
I see movement in the underbrush.
Yeah, take charge. The DM is throwing you the ball.
Okay. I've been tracking a boar. I see the furry outline of a boar shrouded in foliage.
Okay, and you find yourself holding your breath as you raise an arrow and level it at this creature not 12 feet from you. Go ahead and make me an attack roll using your dex for ranged attack.
It's a D6 for short bow.
Yeah, just roll the D20 for now.
Okay. 3.
Okay, and as you hold your breath, you draw the string, and as you do, your foot just cracks on a smaller, dry branch on the forest floor, alerting the beast, who makes no hesitation and zips further into the foliage. You see branches and undergrowth sway viciously as this thing darts away from you. What do you do?
I sigh and I use Frostbolt.
Okay.
Hold on. I meant to say Frostbite.
So that slows it.
Yep.
All right. Is it a constitution? Yes. Okay.
It's going to be 13 to hit.
Yeah, you see frost as it spreads quickly out from a lot of the undergrowth that just freezes so fast that it's still swaying and snaps from being frozen, clearing a little bit of the way, but you've completely missed the creatures. It is taken off. You've lost sight of it now, though you still hear the squeals and the hooves rushing through the forest. Beacon, you are not far behind him along the tree lines here. What would you like to do?
I'm mainly just stumbling around because this is kind of outside of my element. I'm usually trying to preserve life and not kill it, but this is necessary. Mainly just watching everyone else because I really have no idea what I'm doing here.
Okay.
They're tripping over stuff. And
Gavin, you look over your shoulder to alert Beacon, and you notice he's just kind of bumbling around the undergrowth here. He looks quite out of his element. He doesn't necessarily want to be here. He looks strange outside of his normal vestments. You look to your northeast, and you can see just enough of Lorlin and Haru. Yelling out to them, they have heard the crashing, so they're coming towards you. Haru, how would you like to handle the next few moments?
Runaway boar.
Mm-hmm.
And do I still hear it charging off?
Yes.
Haru is going to crouch slightly and take off into a sprint after this boar. Pretty much just dropping his short bow. Maybe readying a dart with one hand and just full tilt running after it.
All right. Why don't you roll me opposed dex against a 21?
Gotta make it dexterity saving throw against a 21.
Not a saving throw, just a check. Just opposed check.
All right. So that'll be a 20.
Okay, so you rush off. Your reflexes through years and years of training just aid you as you dart in between trees and bounce off of fallen logs. You are moving every bit as quick as this boar. You don't lose sight of him, but you don't catch much ground on him either, though you notice where he's going. There seems to be almost like a wall of vine just beyond the lines of trees that you see directly in front of you.
Okay. About how far away is he from me?
The boar?
Yep.
I would say 25 feet.
25 feet? Well, that's well within dart range. If you want to pass it to someone else, you can. Otherwise, I'll make a throw against it.
Okay. Being as in cover as he is, both with trees and undergrowth, you can make the attack, but do it at disadvantage.
Okay. Well, seeing he's that in cover, I'm going to go ahead and spend a key point instead on Step of the Wind, so I can dash as a bonus action, which will let me move another 40 feet, which should let me just catch up with this thing.
Okay. So.
And then I'm going to pounce on it with both my claws.
Okay, so the key point would be.
I have 2 key points.
Mm-hmm.
I'll spend it on a dash of Step of the Wind, so I can dash as a bonus action.
Okay, that was my question.
And then that'll let me
a bonus action.
And then the moment I've got a chance, I'll spend my attack and bonus action on it.
Okay, sounds good.
So that'll be like next round.
Okay.
In the meantime, someone else is turn to go. And
Laura, you were casually just talking about this and that, and how much you love the landscape here, trying to avoid the questions on where you disappeared to a week and a half prior. Haru was busy chastising you about just rushing off on your own.
At least let me know. At least let me know where you're going. If it's your druid business, that's fine, but I like to be kept in on the loop.
And it seems like a split second. You hear the of foliage as an obvious spell had been cast from Galvin, and you both look up and see the plants that had been frosted over and broken, and that's when the boar catches both of your attention. And before you can even register what was going on, Haru drops to his knee and dashes off into the woods. What would you do?
Well, I would see that Haru had dropped his bow. I would pick it up for him. How far away would you say they are from?
Now they are a good 40 to 50 feet from where you now stand, because they took off running.
Okay. Could I entangle the boar?
Not
it
from
has
here.
a range of 90 feet.
That would be great if you could really see the boar. All you can do is really hear it from here. There's a lot of trees and undergrowth in the way.
Okay, well, I guess Laura Lynn is just gonna let out a hearty sigh as she sees the plants that were ruined by the frost and casually keep walking after her friend Haru, because she's not really thrilled with killing the animals anyways.
All right, so Beacon, you see all this. Do you run after Haru, or do you gather together with Galvin and Laura as the three of you would walk towards where Haru dashed off to?
Yeah, I'm going to gather with them. Hopefully, with other people, I won't look so awkward.
The way I pictured Haru running off is like a kimono dragon, and that's kind of scary. So, I'm just gonna casually walk off, like after my friend.
All right, Galvin, you see this too. I'm sorry. What was that, Nick?
That I'll heal him if he breaks something.
Okay.
Yeah, Haru's got this.
It's
Probably.
familiar sight of a lightning quick dragonborn dashing through the woods. What would you like to do from here?
I'm going to try moving closer by 30 feet and see if I can get a clear shot.
Okay. Are you going to casually go through, or are you trying to like quickly make some ground?
I'm going to quickly make some ground.
Okay, so Beacon and Laura kind of like meet in the middle where you had launched your spell at the boar. They see your form dashing through the woods after Haru. You quickly cover some ground. You see Haru kind of get parallel to the boar as he's dashing fairly quickly and covering some ground. He's looking over at the boar like he's ready to pounce and attack. If you would like to make an attack from here, you can.
Okay. I will try.
Probably should have specified. Haru's got a movement speed of 40 feet. If he spends a full round dashing, it's 80 feet. And if I use Step of the Wind for Dash's bonus action, it'd also be 80 feet. So I don't know how you want to roll that.
Okay.
Okay.
How far away are they from me?
Okay, so from where you started, the boar would have made it probably out 50 feet.
Okay.
And you've covered 30. Haru has bounded around. Sam, I'm gonna say that in your dash, you haven't described an attack yet. So what I see you doing is kind of corralling this thing. It tries to dash one way, and you pounce at it, and it dashes another, and you're kind of directing it to what you've seen as a clearing.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, I mean, Tom, sorry. As you're using your dash, kind of corralling it into.
Yeah, kind of expecting when I dig my claws into it, we're both going to go tumbling. So I'm trying to like get it to an area up ahead where I can crash into it without like running into a tree immediately thereafter.
Well, if
Right.
I get your shot, I'll try the short bow again.
Okay. Yeah, he has chased it. There is like a wall of vine as it's corralled around it that opens up into a small clearing that you can see. So you have a really nice shot of this really big boar.
Okay. I don't really want to damage it with magic, so yeah, I'll try with the short bow. Oh, well, that's a critical failure.
Me.
Oh no.
Okay.
Unfortunately, wizards don't have proficiency in short bows.
Okay, so as you clumsily try to draw back on the drawstring, trying to remember what the huntsman told you about controlling your shot, the string just snaps, and just as it does, kind of whips, and you feel a sharp sting across your face as it kind of cuts into you, warm blood dripping down your cheek. You curse as the short bow is completely ruined now. Haru, you see him at this pace. You see this is not just a wall of vine. It seems like these vines are covering some type of like stone remnants of a stone wall from this angle.
Mm.
And it has dashed around the side of it, and where it opens up into a clearing.
Okay.
I see you like bounding off a tree into the top of the wall, where your powerful legs would like leap up as you get ready to strike down onto this boar.
Yep. I'm just going to crash into this thing. All my weight and claws behind me. All my weight behind my claws. Well, we'll see how this works. So rolling 2 attack rolls then. Ooh. So first one is only a 7. That's not going to hit. But I got a 20, which is going to do 6 damage to it. Not now.
Okay. So you land. You don't get the full force of the impact that you were hoping, but your claw does rend into its hindquarters, allowing it to squeal in pain and tumble along the moss-covered floor of where you're at. It stands up, feeling cornered, and starts digging its hoof into the ground as it charges at you, an attack of its own, attempting to gore you.
Yep.
Okay, that's a 15, and it misses you. Your armor class is 15, right?
My armor class is 16.
16.
If the attackers win ties.
Yes. Yeah, it rolled a 15. Yeah, I see now. You are 16. So you definitely step aside as it charges at you, trying to gore you. The rest of you hear this. Laura, you have met up with Beacon. What would you like to do from here? As you see Galvin kind of like feeling on his face where he had an unfortunate incident with his short bow, and you see Haru in the distance jump over a large object and out of sight.
I'm gonna look at Beacon and kind of just look him over for a moment, and I casually say, "You're not used to being out here, are you?"
And he would avert your gaze, not really willing to answer, and looks forward to Galvin, and and he would completely ignore the comment that he had just made.
That sounds like something he would do.
I raise my eyebrow and look off to the distance to see where Haru went, and I suppose I see him jump over something and disappear. And I say, "Oh, well, dinner should be here soon."
Complete confidence.
Yes, I have a lot of confidence in Haru.
All right. So, Haru, you were standing face to face. You still have this spear strapped to your back. This beast is wounded and terrified. What do you want to do from here?
I am going to. I'm going to size this thing up as did it try running past me?
Yes, and it kind of skidded around towards the wall that was behind you, and now you see clearly that it is stonework, though very, very old.
Well, my first concern is with the creature that wants to try sticking its tusks in me. So, for now, ignoring the stonework, but I'm making a mental note. I want to go back to that. I'm going to run towards this thing and spend my last key point on Flurry of Blows. And I'm just going to try shredding this thing with full flurry. So this will be 3 attacks against it.
Okay.
So I got 2 15s to hit. And then a 13 to hit, which I think would miss since Galvin rolled a 13 and missed. So do the 15s connect?
You would leap towards this thing. Your claw is just a blur. And we'll pan back out to the colony itself as the 4 of you have the carcass of this immense boar on a large stick tied to it as you're making your way back to the colony with a fresh kill, bringing it to the butcher shop.
Right.
All 4 of you leaving the tree line, you see in the bay something that makes all of you smile. After 3 moons of being here, the first supply ship is here.
Okay.
And you see it on the makeshift pier that's been built thanks to the efforts of skilled craftsmen. of the League. And it has moored itself, and supplies are being offloaded, and the crew is fast at work, hoping to call it a night soon and have an evening of shore leave. Coming into the Palisades, which is fairly expanded now, where it was once just a makeshift triangle of wooden wall surrounding just a few structures. Now it spans out into almost a proper keep, as both the headquarters helps and the man known as Alabar, who has been a tremendous ally of yours in the past weeks, figuring things out as far as the various attacks and defense of the townsfolk, as well as planning the newer buildings and whatnot. You see him standing with what you assume to be the captain of the ship, and skulking around is a familiar face that you all can't help but chuckle, wondering, well, the mystery now solved on where this little ass face has been off to. Lyle, you see your former companions for the first time in many weeks. How would you like to handle this?
I approached them as they draw near. Slight chuckle in my breath as I say, took you long enough.
Took you long enough.
I've been here the whole time. Where have you been?
We've been here the whole time, and we've not seen you for 3 months. Believe me, we know every colonist's face by this point.
I kind of begin to stare off as I counting fingers on my hand. 3 months. Has it been that long?
3 moons.
Oof. Anyway, so what's new? How'd the hunt go?
As you can see,
I look back at the board. You did passably well.
I'm kind of like trying to peer over shoulders as I look for the boar. Kind of lick my lips. I get a leg, right?
That's for the cooks to decide. I'm going to heft the boar and keep walking. And I'll ask, did you decide not to land on the sea, or did the sailors want their money back?
Kind of averting the question, I just kind of make an offhand comment about sleeping in late, and I go back to the board and continue asking questions about the feast and when it begins.
It's hard to have a feast with one boar on a colony with so many.
Well, I guess that depends on how many heads we plan on feeding.
And just kind of shrugs and starts walking away.
A little bit of a cold reception there.
well, I'm gonna tell them, come with us. I'll fill you in on what's happened so far.
It's the curse of Dublin Island.
Kind of get a quizzical look on my face as I begin to follow.
It's at that moment that Alabar turns around. Conversation with the captain has seemed to have wrapped up. He has a rolled up scroll in his hand. He sees the five of you and smiles warmly. Oh, friends, I'm glad to see you. tonight I have much news. So I see your hunt was successful. Some of the others, not so much. But tonight we feast. You will all be guests in my home tonight at dinner. Yes.
Haru nods. Thank you for the offer. I'll accept.
And he would look to the rest of you and assume that that was an answer for the group. And smack his palm with the scroll and say, "Excellent. I will see you shortly after sundown." And continues on with in the square. Who is actually pretty bustling right now. The sailors are spending coin, something you haven't really had to deal with in the past 30 moons, because an economy hasn't really been set up yet. So it's all been very much all work and no play for almost everybody involved.
We've been trading favors.
Yeah, pretty much. Which is how you found yourselves pulling, hunting duties.
Mm-hmm.
Those that don't provide don't receive in this colony. The five of you would find yourselves alone in the square. Beacon, I would say that you would be anxious to get back to the building that had been built recently for your group, with specifications to y'all's liking. So this has been kind of a headquarters for y'all, a 2-story building with an immense 2-sided porch that goes around the front of the house and off to the only side that doesn't face or doesn't come into contact with the palisade itself. You look longingly that way. It's becoming time for your evening prayers, and you feel the need to get to that.
Yeah, I don't even know this guy, so right, I'm just gonna head that way then. Like, you got this?
Oh, that's right. We didn't introduce you. Beacon, this here is Lyle Abbey.
I give him a slight bow. Pleasure, of course. And I begin to survey the area around me. You said the streets are pretty bustling right now, right? Coin being exchanged.
This little bit of the square, as it were, is pretty busy with new business as supplies are coming and going. Sailors are looking towards any kind of a tavern that might have been set up, while alcohol really hasn't been much of a thing lately, with supplies running so low. The new supplies are here, and everybody is in a jovial mood.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to go over to some of the supplies, and I would kind of like grab.
Before you do this, Lyle, being the first time that you see each other, why don't you start? Give a brief description of who Lyle is, and then Beacon, you can describe yourself to Lyle.
Right. Okay. I'm a bard. Obviously, I'm tall, slender. I have black hair, slick back. Not really too noticeable. Besides the multicolored patchwork cloak that I have draped across my shoulders, you see that I carry with me 2 flute cases. And as you're noticing me or studying me, I guess one could say, you see me kind of anxiously looking around the crowd, kind of eager to mingle.
All right, and Beacon, he's a tiefling that's sort of got ashen gray skin with black eyes and black hair. He's normally wearing vestments, and his holy symbol that he presents is of a skeletal arm holding a scale. He is a cleric of the grave who is a follower of Kalimvar. And he's pretty much been here helping to the dead with proper classes, Kalimvar for judgment.
Okay. Again, I give him a slight nod and I say the pleasure is all mine, and I begin to once again look forward to mingling with the crowd.
Excellent. Okay, so Beacon, you said you were heading off to y'all's home.
Yes.
Laura, Haru, and Galvin. The three of you find yourself standing there. The three of you. Laura, how would you like to proceed?
I'll look up at Haru. Are you still disappointed with me? Kind of give a sheepish grin.
Disappointed? Not so much.
So we're okay?
Haru takes his big hand, places it on Laurelyn's head in like an awkward sort of older brother sibling pat. And so,
Laurelyn.
you've saved my life before in the past, so I'm willing to overlook, causing me some concern.
I had some druid things to take care of. I am sorry.
The dragon has a heart after all.
So shall we go get some food?
I say we clean up first. Prestidigitation.
Ah, excellent.
Y'all will notice that Galvin likes this spell quite a bit to mask the dirtiness of you, and while you look and feel clean, the stench never quite goes away.
Gross.
Not it clean.
It removes all filth, so it should remove the
And
stench.
odor.
Yeah, that's part of the spell. I mean, it doesn't feel as cleaning as maybe a good bath does.
Yeah,
Done.
the dried sweat would still leave just a hint of not total cleanliness. And while Laura seems absolutely fine with that, or you just you notice a little bit of human stench that just barely wafts into your nostrils.
Did you say I'm okay with the stench?
Yes.
I am not okay with the stench.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to clean up further, go ahead. Might be a good idea.
I mean, I think I smell great, like druid.
And she's okay with that.
Yes, but everybody else's stench I am not okay with. Just to be clear.
All right. So we're gonna go forward. The five of you stepping foot just across the front door of Alivar's space. You remember this building as the bigger home where you saw the curious automaton that escaped your grasp. He has renovated the place, and it looks really, really nice now. The guard shows you into the dining room where Alivar has set up a very nice feast of freshly grilled pork and some of the remainder of the vegetables that that had been remaining in the supplies, and the last of his wine, his personal stash of wine. As he stands up and smiling and greets you all to sit down, you all go through dinner very quickly. All of you famished, especially you, Lyle. You feel like you hadn't had a good hot meal in what seems quite a long time now. So you just animalistically rip through this dinner. And at the end, Alvar stands up and raises his glass, proposing a toast.
Toast to?
He stands up and holds out his glass, saying, "To farewells."
Farewells. Take it you're going back to the mainland?
The mainland, no. Last family business, as well as some pressure from the league itself, draws my attention away. So I will be leaving at first light with the ship now in the bay. I leave the care of the colony under the trusted leadership of one of my own, a servant of my house, known to you as Regina Howland. She has much expertise in these affairs, and I feel very confidently that she will be a rock and a guiding hand as we continue to grow and continue to profit here.
Very well. 2 farewells. Haru will raise the glass.
I'll chime in with a here, and I'll raise my glass as well.
Laurelyn raises her glass and gives a pleasant nod.
Galvin drinks his glass. Saying, "Here, here."
And Alvar empties his, and as he does, his eyebrows shoot up, and he sets his glass down. "Oh, apologies, I had almost completely forgotten." And he rushes out of the room for a few moments, leaving you alone.
Okay. I wonder if he brings some additional news from the mainland.
I'm still trying to figure out whose house I'm in. I'm not sure if I know this individual.
You briefly met him on the ship as you guys made landfall originally. Though stowing away to escape some awkward dealings and debts, you didn't have much of a chance to interact with him as you stowed back towards Freeport all those weeks ago.
Okay.
There's an awkward silence as you all just fiddle around the dinner table, not really saying much. Alvar comes back in with in a leather-bound book wrapped in leather cord, and approaches you, Haru, and lays it in your clawed hand.
Okay.
I had this recovered here amongst the things as we cleaned out. It appears to belong to your professor friend. That is who you said you were seeking. Yes?
I open it up. Is it for Ashcroft? Hugh? What Ashcroft?
Yes, Hugh
All right.
Ashcroft. As you unbound the book and open it up. It's very neatly written. There's even a title page. These are the notes and discoveries of Sir Hugh Ashcroft.
Okay.
And then the symbol of the Freebooters League is stamped into the front page.
Perfect. Hopefully this will give us a lead on his whereabouts.
And Oliver nods gravely. I truly hope so, though I have little hope of finding the poor chap alive at this point, all these months later. But
Perhaps. We'll see.
But perhaps Ceres' guiding light will still find hope in the darkness. And with that, I think I'm going to get an early night. A long voyage is ahead of me. And I would bid you all good night and pleasant travels. And he would start to make his way around and shake everyone's hand genuinely. Very much saddened that he's no longer going to be in your company. He has grown to trust all of you as stalwart allies in the safety of this place.
Okay. When I shake his hand, I say, "It's been an honor, sir."
As he reaches to shake my hand, I think I'll my face will kind of light up, and I'll lean in and I'll say a gift before you go, and then I'll turn and pull my flute from my sack and offer to play one last song before he makes his journey.
The dining room is filled with a cheerful tune, with a skillful bass line of a little bit of regret is the emotion that it evokes in all of you. At the end of it, you all feel a little saddened.
All right. Well, when farewells are said, we begin exiting. I'm going to go to, I guess, our quarters and kind of like tap Galvin, hand him the book.
Yep. I'll do my research.
I say, see what you can find in there.
Yep. And as well, I'll say during dinner and when we get back to our quarters, I'll inform the bar. I'll just be informing the bard of what we've run into so far.
Good. I was hoping someone would address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
There's this mysterious tone being passed around and has something to do with Hugh Ashcroft. I'm absolutely clueless, and you can tell I'm kind of like nursing an injury on my chest the entire time. Still kind of anxious to get some rest myself, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why don't we take this opportunity, Sam, if you could, to give just a brief synopsis of what exactly has happened these past several months since you last saw Lyle.
Yes.
Okay. Before filing out at the dining room, I reach back and grab like one more small handful of meat to eat on my way out. I'm starving.
So yes, when we first landed here, the first few nights were horrible. We ran into these half monkey, half goblinoid, like scurrying little things. We spent quite a bit of time fighting those things off.
That's odd. Do these half goblinoid and monkeys?
Yes.
They're all teeth and no brains.
Do they have a name? What do we call them? nasty. We're just sticking with nasty creatures.
I
Works for me, and I'll begin to kind of jot that
call them fighters.
fighters. Right.
Yes. And it wasn't just that. There's at least, have we run into any other forms or just been the two?
Just the two. Since you guys had that last encounter in the cave, attacks have stopped. Even the wildlife has ceased being slaughtered in the forests. Those two forms are the only that you had seen so far, and it's been quiet for several weeks now.
Okay.
Okay. Can I use like minor illusion to kind of make a miniature version of these things as I talk about them?
Yeah, you've got the image burned into your brain enough that you could recreate it with this illusion.
So I recreate the
Monkey
the
goblin.
monkey goblin thing. It's like these things are fighters. We don't like them.
Kind of
And
gasped.
When that's done, it's like I tell him the approximate height and everything, and then I show him the squid goblinoid thing.
Mm-hmm.
These things are a little bit more intelligent. We found they live in the caves near the shore. They're kind of nasty as well.
Swimmers.
Right. So don't go swimming in the bay. Gotcha.
Jonathan, imagine like Ursula from the Little
Oh yeah,
Mermaid.
no, I have a pretty vivid image in my brain. Don't ruin it for me.
Okay.
Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
Who's not even thrilled with coming up with the names for them. It's just like whatever. It's they're foes. We haven't seen too much of them after we killed what I can only assume is their leader.
You know, we also ran into we found a construct for a wizard, and I'm assuming it's the same wizard that made these abominations.
Yeah.
They also made these. These. How many of the constructs have we found? Just the one.
Yeah, you've only seen the one tiny little spider-like perfect orb with mechanical spider legs.
Yep.
In this house, when they first explored, they ran into it, but it got away.
Yeah. Our running theory is there's some rogue wizard who visited this island at some point in the past, and he left his creations behind. We haven't seen anything about it.
I'm assuming that he may have come. He might still be around because one of the swimmers, I guess we'll call him, mentioned that we weren't the master.
And what news of Lord Ashcroft?
We haven't seen Finder.
Hide nor tail. But basically, all the colonists who were left here on the island before we got here were missing.
Wow.
And we've only found one body.
Dead, I presume.
Yes.
Wow. I'm kind of soaking all of this information in and trying to digest it, not make an offhand comment about their time being a little more adventurous than mine, running into old friends and unpaid debts. And I kind of mentioned that moving forward, I'll always be nearby.
Right. At this point, would you guys want to make your way home or to the newly erected tavern, or what would you like to do?
Don't know about you guys. I could go for one more drink before I settle down for the night.
I'm going to go back to the house, and I'm going to start researching the book. just
Mhm.
handed.
Laura Lynn's gonna go wherever Haru goes.
Haru was gonna go down to the beach and like get himself a proper wash off.
Oh, Laura Lynn's going to the beach.
To watch you get a proper wash off. Don't mind me. I'm anxious to get my hands inside the coin pockets of some of the locals around here and get this economy flowing. So I'll begin to make my way towards the tavern.
Right.
All right. So, Galvin, you would find your way back to your home and up to your chamber, where you crack open the book. I'm assuming that's what you wanted to do, yes?
Yep.
Okay.
A little light for them.
First line. I prepared explosive runes today. Boom.
Nothing quite so serious. The first couple of pages are, remarks and comments about the original journey. He dropped some names of the original colonists. He spoke highly of one of the priests set to build the colony's first temple here, of Silas Weatherby. They seem to have been close in their journeys. Then there's at least a page and a half talking about the original setup here and how everything was idyllic and no problems. Everything was getting set up. And then things start to get a little darker as he makes notes of some of the colonists whose demeanor had completely changed. They didn't quite seem themselves anymore. And he rambles on briefly about how the only person he can trust is Silas himself. And the last few pages talk about he's found something, some structures near the center of the island on the other side of the mountain from where the colony now sits. And he's going to go explore them. And that's really where it leaves off.
Does it specify when ships arrived or departed?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
These ruins, do they like match the description of the ruins that we were gutting the boar in?
You can only assume at this point. You've been here for 3 moons, and that would seem to match up. That's the only structure you really come across so far. It's been all just really paradise island around here. Outside of the first few attacks, everything else has just been great here.
So when Haru and Laurelyn, I believe I'm getting that name right, when they get back, I basically tell them what I've found so far, and I keep reading. And my deduction is like, he probably went to those ruins we were at. Yeah, during the day. He went to those ruins. We have no idea how deep they go. Do I find anything else? Or is it just getting late?
It's getting super late. You hear the chanting of Beacon on his side of the house as his prayers tend to get a little loud and morbid.
Yes. Those are the prayers you're hearing.
I should have used silence in my room. Never learned that spell.
It's a little bit up.
Yeah. Yeah, after I reach a certain point in the book, like how long is it? Like how many pages approximately?
The journal itself is fairly thick. Probably, I don't know, 4 dozen pages or so.
Okay.
But he had only filled up maybe a quarter of that.
Okay. And I kind of reached the end of it already? Or
Yeah, the end of his writings left off his first real foray into the wilds to explore what they had here.
Yep. I'm also going to use what? Identify or I'm just double checking something really quick. Identify. I'm gonna see if there's any magic imbued in this thing.
Ritual cast, I suppose.
Yep. I'm basically going to see if there's any hidden message in the book.
Or ritual cast detect magic.
Yep.
One of the two.
Okay. So while there's no magically hidden text or anything, the inside of the cover kind of undoes itself of a thin thread sewn into what you originally thought was just the spine of the book itself, but it opens up into a small pocket where there is a sheet of paper inside.
Okay. So basically checked it over and I found a sheet. Is there anything on it?
Yes, on the sheet itself, you carefully pull it out, and this is more panicked writing. You're not sure why he would have hid this, but this is addressed to his wife. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, except he's detailing two names of colonists. Let me see here. Sorry, I should have pulled this up already. Oh, you got a crying baby down there, man.
Yeah. Can I take a quick?
Yeah. Yeah, two names, Eliza and Rayland Barclay, talking about how they had been using the boats to travel to some of the other islands in the chain. There are several, maybe five. Three sizable ones and a couple of tinier outcroppings of land in this area. And he said they were gone for several weeks on one of the later expeditions out there. They were both freebooters, and they seemed changed and different when they came back from the latest one. And he speaks of. He thinks he has it figured out, and he's certain that he can find answers in the ruins in the island chains. He just needs time. And it looks as if he was preparing to send this to Lady Ashcroft.
So I'm basically going to copy the page. And then I'm going to hand the original one off to the guy who's going to be leaving in the morning.
Oliver.
I basically kind of wake him up.
No, you do it in the morning.
Yeah, I'll do that in the morning. But
the guard wouldn't let you disturb him. He offers to take the page for you and personally hand it to him.
I'm going to deliver it in the morning.
Okay. And with that, we're going to take a quick 5 minute. We got a crying baby. We're going to take care of real quick. So you guys need to use the restroom, get a drink, do whatever. We'll be back in 5.
All right.
Mystery.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right. Yeah, at least the two of us are back.
Well, Haru, I found this sheet that tells us that this place was screwed up.
From the beginning.
I'm still here.
Well, that's good information for us.
I'm here. My baby is just very upset.
And for the benefit of the recording stream, since I don't think they can read chat, apparently Laurelyn built a pretty large and impressive sandcastle and filled it with seashells and used driftwood and whatnot to build up some of its structures and outer walls and towers and stuff. And then Haru, when he gets out of the water, just kind of walks through it.
Oh, yep, crushing my dreams.
What a dick.
Did the shells even make Haru flinch a little? I mean, I would think they would be sharp.
Scales. That might be a little bit sharp.
Laurelyn's used to this treatment.
Oh, that poor infant.
Yes, he's very upset.
So yeah, like I said, I basically tell him, I hand him the original. Well, not the original. I hand him the copy that I drew out with my own notes scrawled on it.
All right. So now we think he may have gone to one of the other islands in the chain.
If he's not on these ruins,
And there's
we still have to check the ruins on this island.
There's, you said 4 or 5 islands? Okay. Exact number?
There are 5 islands, although 2 of them are very small. They're just really just rocky outcroppings.
There could be ruins on them.
There could be.
Deep caves that go underground.
Laurelyn stiffens at the mention of caves.
Oh yeah,
Her
I've seen that.
her mood seems to change quite dramatically.
Wait, I should ask. How long ago did we find Laurelyn? Was the last couple days or?
Oh no, it's been about a week and a half.
Wow.
So we were on the island for about a week. She vanished. We had a good number of weeks without her.
You had the time you guys had between that battle with the squid goblins and from the time you found her, or really when she returned, was roughly 4 days.
Oh, okay. So we had a time skip, and then the squid goblins on it. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, time's flying by. Could I say in the meantime, I mean, we've got weeks to play with here. Haru, he's keeping up his daily training regimen, but he's also taken a little bit of interest in studying medicine and properly treating wounds and stuff. At least in the natural form way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. And I've been doing target practice with a pistol. If I can get time with it.
And some powder.
Yep.
Ooh, he's upset. So we're gonna try to gain some proficiencies.
Yep.
With this
Try
stuff. Okay. Okay. We will say at the next level gain that you guys have both spent enough time in each given field that I'll allow proficiency.
All right. Couple months.
Is Nick around?
I am here.
Excellent. So yeah, we'll get back to it then if everybody is ready.
Aye.
Yeah.
Leah, you good?
Yeah, I'm just monitoring the boy as he has his tantrum about going to sleep.
All right. So we'll. Is there anything that Beacon would like to address before the end of the night, and we'll move into morning?
Not really. It just seems like there's been a bit of a reunion, so I'm trying not to interrupt it.
We spent a few weeks with this guy on the ship, while, and then he didn't join us on our first foray on the island.
I got sidetracked back in Freeport, but I'm here now. Everything's okay. I'm okay.
You seem oddly distracted about it, though. I suppose if you don't want to tell us, it's fine. But if someone else is going to come after you because it's not all okay, I'd like to know about it.
I kind of hesitate as I ponder the words I let slip from my mouth. And once again, I'll just say, unpaid debts, unfinished business, nothing you should personally worry about. Should someone find me in time, well, I can't say either way, but I'm here now, and everything is as it should be.
Okay.
Now, I've already made my way to the tavern and back and met up with them. And
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you spent a little bit of time in the tavern. You managed a few silver pieces off some sailors. Spent those silver pieces on some good drink, some fresh rum, straight out of Freeport. And as you half drunkenly make your way out of the beachfront tavern, it's just outside the walls, and it's facing the bay. The view is gorgeous, but you see the naked forms of Haru and Laurelin as they were bathing in the ocean. And Haru,
Laurelin was not.
Laurelin was not naked.
apparently making a sandcastle of some variety.
Yes, that's where you walk out and just notice the form of Haru happily stomping through the sand and knocking over the sandcastle.
It just feels natural.
Disappointment.
You can hear the odd sound of dragonborn laughter from across the sand. And you shake your half-drunken head and make your way to the home of the group. Not knowing where else to crash at the moment, you fall face first onto one of the ottomans in the den area next to a fire, and cozy sleep takes you almost immediately. Haru and Laurelin don't even notice you as they come in, and the night ends. Everybody in their proper places. We fade to black, and we hear the sloshing of waves as it hits what Lyle you would recognize as storm drain. You can hear it just slosh in and out with the tide. You hear a voice coming through and echoing across brick and mortar and the surface of the water. taunting you with sightings of the yellow sign. And no matter how far you run, you're in Cardoza now. And a laughter will chase you through the darkness as panic sets in. And you see a hooded figure coming out of the dark with tentacles coming out from beneath the robe and coming after you with such speed that you have no hope of escape. And you shoot awake with the sun peeking over to the horizon and through the window. It is daylight now as you are dripping in tropic sweat and bestial fear before you regain your senses and remember where you are.
Wow. I immediately make my way back out to the common room, I guess we'll call it. Kind of rekindle a fire. I'm peeking out of the window every few minutes. Trying to straighten myself up for the day and remind myself that it was just a dream.
This is where the rest of you come downstairs and notice Lyle on his haunches, absent-mindedly poking the fire. Doesn't seem to even notice that you've entered the room.
Okay. Well, he seems deep in thought.
Firebolt.
Just shoot fire past him. Wizard's response to everything is just use a cantrip.
Oh, he's trying to light a fire.
No, he was poking a fire.
Oh, hell to thou.
Same.
As they enter the room, I kind of look over them, seemingly studying them over to see if any of them are in a similar state of mind. And with a slight smile, almost a forced smile, I greet them for the day and apologize for my demeanor at the moment, as I didn't really get good sleep last night.
Haru freezes at that and walks over to look him in the eye. Leans in real close.
Have we noticed any of the other people on the island?
Yeah.
Similar issues?
Now, Haru's thinking about people on the island who may have had like bad dreams and like the reports and stuff. And he's going to try to think what's some of the commonalities between them. And then ask Lyle, do you feel like you're being called somewhere else?
Called somewhere else? I can't really put a finger on that. More of being chased by some faceless, shrouded being, and with a nervous laugh, and the damnedest thing, there were tentacles, and there were tentacles from beneath the cloak. Mentioned Cal, and I'm struggling for the word Cardoza. And at the mention, just mentioning the name kind of rekindles my temperament from the bad dream. And I just kind of pause. Does Cardoza, what does that mean?
I don't think that's in our notes before now.
And nobody has ever heard of such a word, whether it be a name or a place. It's totally unclear. you'll all notice that as Lyle is speaking, the color has drained completely from his face. This has affected him more than he's trying to let on. Beacon, you would know that these kinds of hauntings have followed people along the various shores of ports for decades out here, ever since Freeport was settled. Reports of odd nightmares and dreams taking hold of people, and a strange madness that sets in that almost nobody recovers from. They either go missing altogether or fall into this madness and become just vagrants along the docks in Freeport, where you've spent a good amount of time.
The mention of tentacles has Haru wondering if there might be a connection between this Caldoza and the like squid goblin hybrids. It did refer to a master.
Mm-hmm. I assume it was just whoever made them. Anyway, I've got someone to meet this morning. I'm going to go deliver a letter.
I guess Haru is just going to go. Well, it's early morning. Everyone else kind of woke up. Haru is probably actually coming back in from like serving breakfast because he's a cook.
I just kind of watch as everyone prepares to go about their daily routines, and I say, if you don't mind, I just going to stay in today. Try and catch up on some more rest.
Laurelyn looks at the bard and kind of gives him a very understanding nod. And she says, "You do what you need to do. I understand."
With a slight apprehension, I begin to reach to my chest, and I look at the group around me, and I lower my head as if almost in shame for the secrecy, and I say, well, there is one more thing. And I remove my patchwork cloak and pull my tunic from my chest to reveal a odd-shaped, almost symmetrical scar in my chest.
Well, Haru is standing pretty close to him now. He looks down at that. Is that a brand?
I've no clue. I woke up and it was there. I've never seen this before in my life.
This is the symbol that has been deeply carved into his chest. A series of swirls around a smaller, tightly packed symbol of what would assume to be like an arrangement of an altar.
Hmm.
Kind of like what we saw.
No, that was like cloth slashes.
Yeah, it's not the same as what you saw before. The faintest of memories reaches from behind Lyle's mind, but it's just something is keeping it out of grasp. He knows he should recognize this. He knows he's heard this call before, at least once, but he doesn't remember where.
He doesn't remember where he got the scar either?
No, I'm afraid not. I remember Freeport, and narrowly escaping with my good health and well-being, and I woke up docked here in town, and this scar was on my chest.
We're still about a week away from Freeport, though.
That is correct.
So you don't remember your journey over here at all.
Bits and pieces. I will say my head was knocked around a few good times in Freeport. But believe me, I would certainly remember something like this happening.
Well, it's another mystery to solve then.
Are there any symbols in the tome you've been spending your time studying? Are there any symbols or mentioning of any altars or symbols of this nature?
Yeah. We saw a different symbol that's unconnected as far as we can tell. I kind of casually draw with my hand. It's like 3 claw swipes. That was some kind of unholy symbol found desecrating the church here before we cleaned it up.
Yeah.
None of us really recognize it.
I kind of look disheartened after that. My shoulders begin to shrug as I go back to staring vacantly into the low burning fire.
Is this mark carved into him or is it burned into him?
No, it's carved. Give me a perception check. Give me a perception check.
Who, me or Laurelyn?
Laurelyn.
She's muted. Does she know that?
Leah.
I rolled an 8.
Okay, yeah. As far as you can tell, it's just been carved deep into his chest. The scabbing around is not that old, but it's...
Sorry. I rolled an 8, but I need to add 6 to that. My apologies.
Perception.
Oh, okay. So it's 4. Okay, so not only was it carved with a blade, you recognize yourself with some darker days that this was cruelly carved into his chest with a glowing hot blade. So it's not so much a brand, but the wound was both cut into him and cauterized at the same time. So it's not going anywhere. Even as it heals, it's going to be very pronounced.
Okay, so I recognize the treatment that he probably received.
Yeah, you know the technique, but you don't know anything about the symbol.
Okay. Laurelyn's just gonna... She's gonna look at the wound. The coloring in her face just kind of drains slightly, and she's gonna back away. Whoever did this, they're truly evil. And she's just gonna sit down and not say anything else.
Really unsure of the divine nature and magic of Beacon. I look in his direction, and with a slight hope in my eyes, I ask, is Is this a curse? Is this something you've seen? Is this something you know? Can you get rid of this? Is there anything you can do?
I'll have a closer look. And would this be a religion check, possibly?
Yes, that would be it exactly. Roll a religion check and see if this would strike any kind of memory.
I got a 7.
Yeah, nothing.
Nope. No clue.
Might be this one thing. No, that's not right. I don't know.
The small amount of hope that was in my eyes has since faded, and with an exasperated sigh, I just remind him, well, if you need me, I'll be here.
It's at that time that Galvin would make his way back to the front door, seeing the four of you there with Lyle's shirt off. You see this ghastly wound on his right pec. You come in trying to say something and stop immediately in your tracks and just are kind of shocked by it.
That's a ghastly wound.
Haru glances over. And that's what happens to those who abandon us.
It was not by choice. It was not by choice.
Exactly.
Make it sound like I was taking hay rides back in Freeport.
While Laurelyn backs away, she kind of like places a hand on the back of her shoulder in memory. Laura, a flash of memory would hit you as just visions of darkness and glowing purple eyes and vicious speak, similar to the tongue of your people, but much more vile and twisted. You remember being branded yourself as a flash of pain memory shoots across your brain.
Laurelyn winces as she holds onto her shoulder. She starts sweating profusely and almost trembling. She lowers her sleeve to show the scar, and her fingers just go over it slightly, and she winces again. I do understand what you've gone through. I certainly hope it wasn't who I think it might be that did this to you. And she just kind of she crouches down and she pulls her knees to her chest and just kind of just stares off.
Lyle is as equally confused as he was moments prior, as he doesn't recall how he got it, and that's what terrifies him the most. I turn to Laurelyn and I inquire as to exactly what happened to her.
Laurelyn rocks back and forth, and she looks up at the bard, her eyes filled with terror tears starting to stream. She starts rubbing her wrists, which reveals scars, perhaps, of showing a type of slavery, being chained. You don't know. The Dark Elves, the Drow, they kept me for a long, long time, and they did unspeakable things to me and others. That is why I recognize that mark. And she'll go back to staring off, rocking back and forth.
Lyle will place a gentle hand on her shoulder and kind of give it a reassuring rub, and then stand up and look around and says, you know, maybe the best medicine for today will be to get out and get some sunshine and meet some people. We've spent enough time on the negatives this day. Let's press on and find a ray of light.
Orlin looks up. Yes, the sunlight. That would be great.
Her's gonna walk over behind Laurelyn and like pick her up on her feet, set her down, and give her a slight push towards the door.
As a comic relief, I kind of get up and dust myself. It's okay. I don't need any help. It's okay. And I begin buttoning my tunic once again, putting my cloak back on. Anything to get a smile at the moment.
Alright. Out of character. Now for some spelunking.
Oh God!
And at the mention of sunshine, Galvin remembers what he was going to say as he came through the door. Galvin, you have the journal of Ashcroft in your hand.
Yep. Basically, I tell them what I found last night. If any of them weren't awake or didn't hear it,
Then we have to go to the different islands.
yeah, we might have to go to the different islands. I also found this sheet of paper. I hand them the copy, and I'm assuming that I gave the original to the other guy, right?
Strauss, yeah, Oliver. So you all spend a little bit of time going through the journal, talking about the various ruin structures that Ashcroft seems to have found on this island, specifically on the opposite side of the center mountain. And that would be your biggest lead from here.
That's most likely where we were yesterday. Go back there.
Track back to the stone ruins I saw.
Yep.
Hang on a second.
We gotta feed the dogs.
No, you're getting that. No worries.
Oh, do we need a brief AFK?
He'll be back in a second.
I can hear the scooping.
So
Right
yeah.
around the corner.
Do we have a map of the island?
Let's see. I can whip one up real quick.
Basically, it's like we're here. The ruins are approximately in this area.
Well, it's wherever we ended up on our boar hunt. Oh,
Yep.
so we've got like a rough sketch of the island. I don't think I don't think Jason's necessarily provided it, but we've got
Yeah.
like a sort of survey.
Yeah, so in word form, the island is roughly, 5 miles or so across by your best estimation. Almost completely forested. Several rivers flow from the center mountain, which goes up a significant way. It's fairly tall. One of the rivers coming off of it carves down along a cliff face in the west of where the settlement is, which another smaller island or smaller mountain peaks up probably 3 or so miles away from the center mountain. Not a whole lot of the other side of the island from where you are has been really looked at or explored. Just a lot of fresh water from the rivers and wood. There seems to be a decent amount of mineral on the island too. Some of the Galvin, you would know this working with some of the masons. They've been able to get a fair amount of stone to add to the construction methods, although it's obviously going to be fairly limited within the near future.
Yep. Yeah. That's why I took Mold Earth. We excavate earth and loose material. So yeah, we're gonna have to make a plan for getting back over to there. Possibly this day. So, what time approximately is it?
At this point, it's mid-morning.
Okay. Like 9 or 10.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yep.
Well,
Gather up some provisions and head that way. I think that would be a good plan.
do you have a mining pick of some kind in case we have to dig in?
Yeah, I'll go to the armory. Not the armory. What would it be?
Quartermaster.
Quartermaster. Yes, for one. I've got a pickaxe. Wouldn't be. No, a pickaxe wouldn't be part of a mason tool, would it?
As somebody that would have to both work in the quarry and the prepping of the stonework itself, I would think that would be fairly common tool.
I'll just say I have a
Like
pickaxe.
hammer, pickaxe, chisel, probably line guides for getting straight cuts, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I say what we should do is just make a plan, get provisions, and go to the ruins.
Well, it's within a day's walk.
Yep.
I think we'd be fine just carrying a lunch with us.
And like I said, out of character before, as I delve deep into the mines.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
All right.
But yeah, we're going to have to inform whoever's leading the expedition this time where we're going, of course.
Yeah, it would be Regina Holland.
Yep.
Suppose, yeah, we'll go check in with Regina before we depart.
Okay.
Okay.
You would find her in the town square, speaking with some of the merchants as the cargo is being, or the crew is being unloaded back onto the ship. Everything is being wrapped up. Payments are being made. Contracts are being signed. Outgoing mail service would be going back to the mainland. And she would have a crowd of people around her as she's trying to address all of this. She would be a smaller human, fairly pretty by human standards. Her auburn hair tied back in a tight ponytail. Her clothing is very well-to-do merchant class vestments. She would notice all of you approaching, not quite recognizing who you are.
Not quite. I'll greet her. Mrs. Holland. We've got a lead on potentially where the missing colonists may have gone, and we're going to be heading into the interior of the island for a few hours on a bit of a walk. We should be back before the day is out.
She has a confused look on her face. Missing colony? I'm sorry. Who are you?
I am Haruzarak. I'm going to gesture to my party behind me in turn. You have Laurelland, Lyle, Galvin, and Beacon. We're contracted with the Freebooters League, and I was given a personal request from Lee Ashcroft to attempt to uncover the business of where the original colonists on this island disappeared to.
Oh, yes, of course. You must have been who Oliver was speaking of. First off, I'm very grateful for your continuing efforts within the colony. As you can see, I'm fairly busy at the moment. So, yes, whatever you need to do, please feel free, but do be safe.
Well, we'll see if we can make it back in one piece. Safe or no. And then with that, Haru is going to just turn and leave.
Laurelyn's gonna look back at the busy woman. Do you need to make a note of this somewhere?
Oof.
Hmm.
She would turn to you and then, yes, of course. Charlie, do make note of the league representatives, which a studious man standing near her with rounded glasses and a sides of his head shaved, but the top hair is pulled back into a tight knit top knot as he scribbles down ferociously on a ledger. You assume would have something to do with not only yours but the business of the colony.
Okay.
Laurelyn's gonna side-eye him and just shake her head and start walking out. She mumbles under her breath, "Something happens to us, no one's gonna come searching for us."
Yeah, that's why we just have to come all together.
So Haru grabs, I guess, some quick provisions for a lunch while we're out in the field. Tells everyone to eat a breakfast if they haven't already. And he's going to go to the gate to wait for about 15 minutes if anyone wants to handle any unsettled business.
You're going to have to forgive the extreme clumsiness of the drawing, but this would be a rough outline of the island.
Where's Where's the colony?
Okay, yeah, colony would be.
I'm gonna guess like south side. South side.
Colony would be here.
All right. Nice bay.
Yeah, and all this would basically be forested. Here's the center mountain. It stands very tall on the island. Most of the island works its way up in elevation towards that, and over this way, it would really be like this as far as like directions go. To the west would be the secondary mountain.
Okay. So wherever we saw the ruins on our boar hunt, we're going to head in that direction. This is a chance for anyone else to say they want to grab any supplies, but Haru's basically got a lunch. Lunch for 5 people.
I'm just gonna go to the quartermaster and pick up my pickaxe.
Your tools.
Yep, my tools, a lunch, and go to the gate.
Laurelyn packs a little more than a lunch. She's pretty concerned about what they're about to go do.
No, I have my regular rations on me as well.
Yeah. Pretty much Haru just has cooking utensils, whatever's in his belt pouch, and I guess I'm leaving my backpack behind. Just have like a sack and some food.
Okay, Beacon and Lyle, is there anything that you want to say before we head off?
No, I'm pretty much good with my supplies. Better to have the mithril armor on so that hopefully I won't find myself drowning again.
Mm.
Also have the ring currently. So that does going up with but if they're just in big water, it does come in behind.
Lyle will leave behind one of his flute cases, and outside of that, he's good to go.
Okay, and we are going with the idea that you guys are in full adventuring gear. You guys are prepped for anything.
Yeah.
So with that, we head out. You guys are familiar with the immediate surrounding forest as you work your way up the hill towards the beginning of the woods. You can see the island's secondary, smaller mountain in the distance, and closer to the colony itself, you can see the work being done, where some of the stone workers have found a decent outcropping of stone and mineral that they've been working to carve out, have the beginnings of a quarry going, with one last look towards the settlement that you guys have called home these past months. You head off into the woods. The journey is light for the most part. The sounds of the wildlife have returned. Any sense of danger or tenseness from the previous expeditions hunting these goblinoids seems to have cleared out of the area. And a couple of hours into it, you're climbing and climbing. You come to what Haru, Beacon, and Galvin recognize as one of the trails leading to a river that they're familiar with, as well as what you remember to be a gathering of the monkey goblins.
Right. And it's been a few hours. Okay. I'm just gonna stop, pass out like hardtack and jerky and like an apple to everyone. That's what he grabbed for lunch. He's gonna dig in, but have a bite to eat and then kind of keep his wits about him, scanning the woods.
Okay, Haru would be on alert. The rest of you?
I've dealt too much with these fighters. I'm just gonna keep my eyes open.
Laurelyn's looking around as well as she eats. She seems a little on edge.
You see Lyle sitting kind of off to himself, but you can see him. He's got an intricately carved flute in his hand that he just keeps twiddling with vacantly, just kind of partially paying attention to his surroundings and partially lost in thought.
So you're the one giving away our position. Got it.
Is he playing the flute?
He said he was twiddling with it.
I thought it was just like...
Yeah, no, just twiddling with it in my hands. I'm not playing it.
All right, and you press forward. You guys come up to an outcropping of rock. The trees end, and you see a cliff face in before you that goes up maybe 30 feet. Without much effort, it doesn't take much to notice the crude buildings, for lack of a better term, right on the edge of the cliff, just haphazardly put together, little shacks and wooden platforms tied together with vines found in the jungle itself, the forest itself, but no movement coming from it.
These are biter huts. This is the way we took to get the boar.
You were walking towards the center of the mountain. The hunt took you in a direction you weren't quite familiar with, so you took your best stab at it and found yourself face to face with where the mountain really starts to climb.
We didn't do survival checks or anything to try finding the trail.
Well, I think I would say, okay, we found a boar, and there was some ruins there.
Yeah, right.
And then we walked back from there.
Yeah, so that's the kind of path that I wanted to take.
Yeah.
So we need to find out. We need to navigate ourselves better. We don't want to go fight a bunch of these things. It's not our mission.
Who's got good survival checks?
Yep, I got a little bit of an edge. All right. Here's just going to, let's see. Here's going to spot a tree that should take him up decently high. He's going to just try shimmying up it. So.
Okay, give me an athletics check.
Yep. So that'll be a 21.
Easily climb this thing. Your claws just dig into the bark as you deftly almost run up this thing on all fours. Climbing to the top, you see a little bit above you is the top of the cliff, and you can see above most of the tree line. You see the beaches off in the distance, smoke rising from the direction of the settlement. You see winding around the eastern portion of the island. It gently slopes down, but it's almost entirely covered in woods. Roll me a perception check.
That'll be a 20 non-natural.
Okay, you can see that it's covered in greenery, but you recognize civilization. An ancient network of walls seem to be working their way through a lot of the forest to the east and north of you, winding around the mountain itself.
Okay.
It's almost as if this was a town of some sort, although how long ago you couldn't even begin to imagine.
So Haru's going to mark the direction and the distance. Like, kind of figure more or less how to get there, and then he's going to shimmy back down the tree.
Okay. Yeah. The distance not that great. Mile and a half.
Okay. Were we on track to get there, or were we just narrowly missing it?
You just narrowly missed it. Really, you kind of followed the lay of the land and ended up here at the foot of the mountain. Really.
Okay. So once I'm back down on the ground, he's going to take a quick breath, stretch his arms out, and stretch his legs, and kind of point. We should be heading that way, about a mile or so. We'll make it to what looks like a ruined town.
Interesting. I'd like to look at that. Check the stonework.
Okay. Keep your wits about you. And we're going to proceed.
Okay, carefully you wind your way through the forest, and it becomes very thick. The life around here is just abundant and vibrant. You hear wildlife all around you. You hear the echoes of birds across the entirety of the island. You hear little scuttles through the trees as squirrels and other tree-faring rodents bound around the branches, searching for their food. You hear the scuttle beneath the underbrush of wildlife that you can't quite see but know is there. And within an hour, you find yourselves in the thick of it, where again you see another wall of vine working its way down to where the vines reach the ground and start to tendril out.
Looks like we made it. Haru's gonna stride towards it and kind of like keep his ears perked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going
Go ahead.
back to the stonework.
Yeah, you can't really get a good view of it with all the overgrowth around it. You figure it wouldn't take much effort to knock away some of this plant life and get a good look.
I actually have a question. Out of character. Would Druid craft? It says that I can make like plants bloom and things like that. Like, could I make some of the vines like recede?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You do you want to attempt it?
Yes, I would like to.
Okay.
It just it just says casting time, 1 action. It says range 30 feet, and it says it's instantaneous.
Okay. No rolls on it at all?
No, it doesn't show anything about rolls.
Okay. So yeah, you start speaking softly in a druidic tongue, and the plant life around you immediately starts to react, and you with a wave of your hand, the rest of you would see the tendrils like recede around the wall and kind of like almost like tentacles themselves, like grasp around and move around the other side of the wall, exposing moss-covered stonework of immaculate skill, but it seems as ancient as anything you've ever laid eyes upon in your entire lives.
Out of character, it's older than Laurelin.
Laurelin's gonna step back and she's gonna look at her party members. Now you don't have to burn the plants
Or cut them.
or cut them.
Thank you for your assistance.
Galvin, can I get a perception check out of you?
Okay. That is a 19.
Okay, yeah. You yourself like just walk up to the wall and like lay your hands. You don't see any kind of mortar like holding this together, and you don't recognize the stone itself. This seems unlike anything you've ever seen ever. The stone itself has a deep bluish tint to it, with white marbly veins going through the entirety of it. They're set so perfectly that it supports itself and has stayed standing despite all logic of any training that you've ever gotten. This shouldn't still be here, yet it is.
Okay. It doesn't really look like it's enchanted, does it?
No, you don't feel any type of arcane effects on it at all. This is just immaculate stonework.
I'd like to learn this technique. No mortar or anything. Can I, like, with all my years of training, I don't know what kind of rock it is.
You've never seen this type of stone before.
Not obsidian or...
No, it's not obsidian.
Granite. It's not granite.
Granite, you're very, very familiar with, and you stand there for a few minutes, just like reciting all the stonework that you're familiar with and everything that's been worked in some of the most masterful buildings in civilization, and this is unlike any of it.
Sounds like you should take a collection or a sample from this for your friends back at the settlement.
Yeah, if there was a loose piece of it. I don't know if I want to damage this wall. We should keep moving, see if we can find
Okay, so what I want from all of you. I should really keep better order of my stuff. Here we go. would like all of you to choose what you feel would be a pertinent skill. And I want skill checks from each and every one of you. I would like to have each skill be different. I don't want all of you to pick survival or nature or, whatever. Try to pick something different but pertinent. And we'll start with Galvin as he's mulling over this.
I'll use investigation. I'll roll a different die.
I'll go hunt it.
Okay, that investigation roll is a 22.
Okay, that's going to be one success. I'm going to need 3 successes from the group as a whole. So we have 1 success on investigation. Haru, pick a skill.
Well, I'll leave history for someone else who's more versed in it. And we're just looking at this wall.
No, you guys are starting to spread out through the area now. You're not all bunched up together. You guys are kind of looking over this area.
All right. I'm going to use my insight, intuition, and how people think and behave to kind of use that to guide me to places of interest as I'm wandering through this town, and just like looking at the places that the buildings that people are most likely to frequent. If there's something else like a temple versus like a government building or a library instead of like houses.
So what you're doing is using insight to
like
check out to see if this makes sense as far as like if this is civilization, an ancient civilization.
No,
this has to have some kind of
it's more of an
it's
an insight check on how the buildings are laid out and like what would make sense in terms of finding places of interest.
Right.
What's the most prominent thing that I
need to recognize
about these people?
For sure. Okay, roll it for me.
So that'll be a 13.
Just 1 fail.
Yeah.
Beacon.
All right, I will go with perception if that's pertinent.
Yeah. Describe how you're using perception. What are you doing to perceive what is going on?
Just looking around, trying to, I guess, reason in my mind why things are as they are, and to see if I can glean any more information out of the surroundings.
Okay, make me roll.
13.
2 fails.
Okay.
Was that total, or was that just on the die?
No, that was
Okay, that's 2 fails. 1 more, and that would be the end of this. Laura, what skill would you use and why?
Well, since everyone used everything I wanted to,
Right.
can I use survival to look around, see if there's like tracks, any kind of like damage, things like that? Like,
yeah, you can use survival to notice any kind of like traffic through the area. You would, I guess, initially be looking for animal tracks or anything that might have been passing through this area. So
yeah, see if there's like a main kind of path or trail that's leading through. That, yeah, okay, I'm gonna roll. 14.
Total?
Yes.
Okay, that's a fail.
Damn it.
You guys spend a couple of hours like poring over this. You don't really gain too much information on it. But what does happen is during the course of the investigation, not far from this initial wall seems to be a similar stonework on the ground. Lyle, can you... let's see here. Can you roll me just an intelligence check real quick?
19.
Okay, yeah, you yourself just sweep away and peel away some of the dirt and plant life that has covered this, and you see cobblestone itself, like underneath it, with larger spaces where the earth has just kind of pushed it up. You recognize this as some kind of a road, but don't have any idea of which direction it might lead or where it goes. So,
I will get the attention of everyone else in the party and convey that information to them as I point out the cobblestone beneath.
it's becoming late afternoon at this point. The sun is not far until it's behind the center mountain.
Is there a enclosed area nearby?
No, just these outcroppings of stonework is all that you really notice. You recognize spread out through all of this that there's multiple walls, so to say, here and there throughout the forest, but the forest itself is kind of like grown up through it. So it's in between a lot of different tree lines, but nothing enclosed.
We want to find a place that's kind of tight, where we can hold up for a night,
Okay.
or we could leave and go back to town.
Okay, I said we head back to town.
But is there anything else? Like, there's walls.
Did Hugh Ashcroft specify anything in the book about what he found on this island?
I'll flip through it really quick.
Yeah, flipping through the last couple of pages, all it says is he found ruined structures that he was excited about exploring, and he was certain held answers.
There might be some like inscriptions or pictures or something carved into some of these walls. We probably clear off a few more of them before we leave.
I'll go look at Laura.
Can I make a history check to determine if I've heard any kind of stories or songs regarding this particular lost civilization, or
Roll me history.
boom, boom, boom. 13.
There are so many songs and legends of empires rising and falling throughout history that it's unclear of what this might be. This could be a dozen things that would be sung about in song or maybe misinterpreted. You're unclear.
Well, I'm going to see if there's a sample of this stone I can take back to town.
Yeah, you easily are able to pull one up from the ground. A lot of the stone in the ground itself is cracked and broken from tree roots and whatnot. So you can gather quite a few of them if you'd like.
And it's the same material that the walls are made of.
Mhm.
Okay.
What Lyle found, this cobblestone is similar, but it's not the same. But around the walls, like in the immediate area of any wall that you walk to, there seems to be an adjoining stonework along the ground, almost as if these were buildings once upon a time.
Is there any like art or runes or things like carved into the stone?
Art pictographs.
No art. Any decoration that might have been on something this old is long deteriorated, destroyed.
Hmm.
What say you, Beacon?
It's seeming almost like a, oh no, dead end type situation. We're not finding any extra information out from this. It just seems like things are here, but we can't figure out a reason for that.
Would this stone, would it be something that is from deep, deep, deep in the earth? Like, would it be something that Laurelyn might have seen during her, well, in her past from spending quite a bit of time?
There's a possibility of that, but recollecting it in the daylight, it was so dark down there that
You couldn't determine color or patterns or anything.
no.
You know, with dark vision.
Okay.
Maybe if we can get to a higher ground, see if maybe there's something we're missing because we're not at a proper elevation.
We need to lay out.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good idea.
I can attempt to climb some of the a wall or partial foundation of something. See if I can get a good look.
Okay, climbing the wall would let you see a little into in between the trees, but it doesn't have enough height really to clear most of the trees. You can see a little ways, and as far as you can see, more to the north, these things seem to have a pattern wrapping around the island.
So it's built in like a semicircle type fashion.
Kind of like an ancient wall, like to protect.
Or like dotted along sporadically as the larger area kind of wraps around the island.
I say we head towards the center of the island.
Yeah, standing here is not getting us anywhere. What's the
Yeah.
point of going back to town right now?
Yeah, let's go to the center.
Okay.
So
Center.
Okay, everybody roll me survival checks.
Natural 1.
4.
that'll be a 21.
11.
Leah, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
15.
Okay, 15, 21, 11, 4, and what?
Critical failure.
Yeah, I got a nat 1.
Ooh. Okay. So several hours of winding your way through the trees, following these along. It takes a lot longer than you had anticipated. And now you come into an area where the trees are quite large through here. The canopy completely covers. It's almost completely dark at this point. But as you step into it, you see like a dais in the center, like a circular dais surrounded by moss-covered stonework.
Hmm.
I'll cast dancing lights and send a sphere of light over towards the dais so we can kind of get a better view of it from a distance.
Okay, so dancing lights float around Lyle's hand and slowly make their way around the clearing, lighting it a little bit. The dais itself is in the center of what seems to be like spiraling out stonework. It's the stonework itself seems to surround this as if it's the center of something. On it is the symbol of an eye that is intricately carved with a whole lot of flourish. Like it's a very artistic eye carved in the center of this thing.
Makes me think of Legend of Zelda.
Want to shoot it with an arrow?
So is this like an ancient throne of sorts, or like what is this? I'm trying to understand what dais is.
This is like a raised platform.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Like could like important people have like sat there or something? Like is that, or is this like a sacrificial looking kind of thing?
It's less of a seat, and it's more like a stage in a theater sort of situation.
Oh, okay.
If there was a crowd of people,
They would be around it.
Yeah, they would be around it while someone stood on it and proclaimed to the people.
Okay. What does the eye look like? Does it look like an evil kind of eye, or is it like...
Not right. I mean, it doesn't look evil as far as anything you would interpret as such. It's just very flourishy, almost Egyptian looking. If that'll help visualize it a little bit.
Okay. Do we dare step forward?
Yeah, Haru just walks forward.
I'll make the spheres of light kind of scatter and spread out to kind of better illuminate a larger area as he begins to step forward.
Okay. And the rest of you?
I'm gonna follow Bruiserak cautiously.
Laurelyn wants to step on it.
I will go ahead and brandish my rapier as we begin to move forward.
And the beacon?
I am going to prepare in case something bad happens once this is stepped upon.
Okay. Lyle, you would notice that Beacon tenses up a little bit and he looks prepped for anything at this point. Haru bravely just steps forward, like he's gonna step on this thing almost, like he belongs here. But as you approach Haru, Laura, you're not far behind him. As you close in, an image appears. Galvin, you would recognize this immediately as an illusion. The form appears in the center of the dais, a robed figure in a dark robe with an ornate helmet that covers the majority of his features, with the exception of his mouth. He stands with his hands outright like he's trying to calm a crowd, and he begins speaking in a language that sounds so foreign that you can't even trace what it preceded. And he speaks for a few moments in this language, then the image disappears.
Okay.
Laurelyn's still going to step on the platform.
Arcana check. Yeah, 11. Maybe Haru realizes that's a illusion.
Yeah, I'm basically going to
So
say
he's not going to try stabbing it with his claws.
it's a recording.
I mean, it faded after it was done speaking, correct? Or is it still kind of...
No, it faded out.
Yeah.
And you step up on the dais, and are kind of like circling it, looking down, observing the eye. You hear Galvin calmly and almost annoyedly explaining what an illusion is to Haru, how he shouldn't panic. And in the midst of all this, the form appears again. Leah, give me a dex save.
Leah? All right.
Okay, one moment, please. Where's my... I got a 6 altogether.
It's not just
Oh.
an ordinary illusion.
So it startled you this time. You weren't expecting it to come back, and you lose your footing and fall back, landing on your back onto the ground below the dais. Again, the form is there, hands outstretched, appearing as if he's trying to calm people.
On closer inspection, it's like he's trying to reassure the crowd,
Yes.
Is this message like on repeat?
obviously.
Or is it a different message?
No, it appears, or it sounds to be the same wording. You notice the same rhythm of the inflections and the speech itself. So it appears to be a repetition of a message.
Well, while I'm laying on the ground, do I notice anything like around or down here?
No one's prepared to comprehend languages, huh?
No.
That's one in.
Okay. All I can really do is identify or detect magic. I mean, I get the general message. It's like, by the tone of voice and whatnot, it's like, and we already know there's problems on this island. And then there was quite a large amount of people in this room once upon a time, and they needed someone to tell them not to panic. That's my deduction, at least.
Beacon, could I get a perception check?
What was that?
Could I get a perception check?
For me? All right.
Yes.
These rolls are horrible. 9.
You look around, and you want to say this is kind of like in some of the coastal towns of the republics way further east of the inner sea, you kind of recognize the layout here. You can't quite put your finger on it, but it's like you've seen this before. And Lyle, roll with advantage on perception as you notice that Beacon is kind of almost in recognition.
19.
Yeah, you join him in this, and it hits you like a lightning bolt. This is a town square, and it doesn't take long to realize that along some of these ancient walls are streets, and what catches your eye, John, is what seems to be a very wide street leading towards the mountain itself.
Hey guys, as I say that, I make several of the spheres of light kind of converge on over the one wider, larger road leading back to the mountain, and I kind of give a nod in that direction. I think this is the way we need to go.
Suppose we were going to the center of the island sooner or later.
Yeah. I should have just. I'll pick that up later, I guess. Yep, we go towards the center of the island, I guess.
It's pretty dark, though. I probably want to stop for the night.
Does the town square look like it could be a safe place to camp?
As far as you're concerned, you haven't seen any trace of any threat in weeks. You guys are all confident at this point that whatever those things were, you have either killed them all or taught them enough of a lesson to vacate the area.
We still want to find a relatively safe spot. The town square, you said it's pretty clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Are there buildings that are still intact, the roof?
No, nothing with a roof or of any sort. Just little outcroppings of walls that at this point you guys are starting to put together that these were buildings in a city at some point.
Yeah.
But this is all that's left of this ruined civilization.
Well, then, I guess we'll just go to a wall and Haru didn't bring his backpack, so he doesn't have a bedroll, but he's fine just kind of laying down, stretching, and then falling asleep on any old pile of stones. He doesn't care.
Laurelyn has her pack. He's not sleeping on rocks.
Yep.
So Haru says, "Wake me up on third watch."
I'm going to use mold earth to build a simple wall around us. I can put the dirt back later. Just want it a little bit of a guard.
I'll find a relatively safe place in the shelter area that's been provided, and I'll pull out my flute and kind of quietly hum into it. Just kind of free form, being inspired by the scenery around me and the ruined civilization and the overgrowth and everything like that. And I begin to playing a slow and humming melodic tune for my flute.
Okay, so the music flows through the air in the clearing, sounding extraordinarily relaxing, and gets you all thinking of home and how far you are from it by now, and the past several months, and everything that's happened, you all find yourself reflecting. Who takes first watch?
I will. Since I'm playing music, I'll go ahead and take first watch.
Okay. And does anybody else stay awake, or does everybody try to get a little bit of shut eye?
Laurelyn's gonna stay awake. You guys can hear me, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can take second watch.
Okay. So we got Lyle, Beacon, and Haru. That's going to be the 3 watches. Laura and Lyle are going to stay awake during the first watch.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Laurelyn, have you guys started any kind of like fire, or are you just sitting in the darkness?
No, I've extinguished 3 of the 4 lights, and I have one kind of drawn in towards us in the center of the group. Obviously a little closer to me so as not to keep awake my friends, but
Okay. Laurelyn, you find yourself thinking how happy you've been these past 7 years, getting as far away from the horrors as you possibly can. Though that fear that you'll never quite escape them is always there, and you find yourself shuddering in the night air as a bit of a breeze blows through the trees and makes you shudder a little bit with its surprising coolness. Lyle, you were sitting on top of this earthen wall that your wizard friend had erected, gazing out into the town square. You hear the night bugs, the frogs, the crickets, the night birds as they go about their business.
and you can tell that my demeanor is a little more lighthearted now that I've put the dream behind me. We're away from crowded streets. We're kind of isolated, and it kind of makes me feel actually a little more safer now than I did earlier.
And right as this feeling washes over you, that
Bum, bum, bum.
you feel as safe now as you've felt in quite a while. You hear a bit of a noise behind you. And as you turn, you see the sleeping forms of your friends and smile to yourself. As you do so, you let your eyes travel up the wall and up and up. And as you get to the very top, you're unsure if what you see is real or nightmare, as this gigantic goblinoid figure stands on the wall, its hind legs gripping the top of the stonework. 2 of its forearms are holding it in place as it holds its 2 upper arms ready to pounce, and it launches itself. And as it comes down, its red eyes burn into your brain. And this is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Yeah.
I just want to say, as it's plunging towards me, I blow into my flute in the most off-pitched note possible. It's almost a signal of distress. Like, guys. It's not good. Wake up!
Oh my god.
Over the dredge.
And yeah, that was pretty great. I enjoyed that. What do you guys think? I know it was a little light on combat this session, but I wanted to cover some ground and didn't know how quite else to do it except just go through it. So I hope I didn't bore you guys to tears tonight.
No, not at all.
Exploration is one of the pillars of the game, and we had some social interaction too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
More though happened between our group.
it was a slow start for me because I've missed a couple of sessions, so I don't really, But once I started getting caught back up and everything, no complaints.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to get a little bit further. I had a little more planned, but it's after midnight now for you East Coasters, and didn't want to go too late into the night on a Monday morning.
Appreciate it.
I had fun. I feel like I came a little bit more out of my shell tonight, so I enjoyed it.
Good. Okay, we're gonna go with an outro. I know we jumped straight into the game tonight. To anybody that might be watching this later, I'm Jason. I run this here channel, Smith's Forge Gaming. I appreciate you joining us, and I look forward to continuing on to this. This is the layers are starting to pile on now, and I'm really digging it. I'm gonna let my players introduce themselves. And we'll just go down the line here, starting from Sam, Tom, Nick, Leah, and John, and then we'll close it out for the night.
All right. Thomas playing Herzrak, the Dragonborn monk, the only frontliner.
Samuel playing as Galvin, the human wizard.
And Nick?
And I am Nick playing Beacon, the Tiefling cleric.
I'm Leah, and I play Laurelin, the nervous wood elf druid.
John, I'm playing a human bard named Lyle who has layers of his own, and they're starting to come undone as we get deeper into this campaign, so I'm anxious to see what happens.
Awesome. Well, again, I appreciate you guys for sticking with me late into the night. I apologize it went a little later than I wanted, but it's all right. We will pick up again soon. Thank you guys. Thank everybody that is watching this in the future, and we will be back next time with horrific monstrosities jumping out of the trees. So until then,
peace.
again.